Chicago, population of just over 2 million, known for its beautiful skyline, numerous world-famous museums, the Willis Tower. You'll find some that still refer to it as the Sears Tower. And who can leave out the great food? Chicago sits right off Lake Michigan, a city that burned the ashes, persevered, and built itself back up. A place filled with working class citizens from all walks of life, a city within a city, the place that produced our 44th president, Barack Obama. Chicago is known as a town full of great sports teams, and also as the city that has produced some of the greatest talent to ever grace the sporting stratosphere. From greats back in the day, like Dick Butkus and Kirby Puckett, to players now carving out their legacies, such as Derrick Rose and Jabari Parker. We all know these athletes had to start somewhere, and that place is known as the Chicago Public League. For every great athlete to come out of the Chicago Public League, there has always been a support cast behind them that has molded them into the people they have become today. Besides the parents, few are as imperative to their development as their coaches that have given their all to make a difference in these kids' lives on and off the playing field and courts. Chicago has long been in the news due to the violence that takes place in the city. Many of the coaches within the Chicago Public League grew up in Chicago. They'll tell you that life in the city of Chicago is no joke. Nick Irvin, head coach of the Morgan Park High School men's basketball team, says it's easier once the kids are in the building.
Well, it's a lot of temptations out here in the streets. So the hardest thing is, getting them to the gym or getting them to school. And I think once they get there, I think everything else will take care of itself. But it's a lot going on out here in the streets. It ain't like when we was growing up where the gangs wouldn't allow us to be near or be by them. And, they wouldn't let us hold a pistol. So it's just a lot of different things going on right now, and the hardest thing is, like I said, just getting them to show up and be there. I think once they get there, then everything take care of itself. But getting there was the hard part, and once they've realized that they got a gift and they probably can make it, then things change.
We deal with the tug of war between the streets and structure. The streets and school. That's the real tug of war. So unfortunately, we lose that battle too much. There's too much talent walking the hallways of schools. There's too much talent walking the streets out here, involved in nonsense and foolishness that we're missing out on. And we can reach, but they have to be willing to reach back.
Nick feels and has learned from his father, Mac Irvin, that it's his job to let the kids know that their basketball talents can take them places.
It's my job as a coach to give them a vision. And the vision is, you can see yourself on TV once you get older. You can see yourself doing something for the community, coming back. It's always something that you've always be positive about doing. And that's the only thing I always tell them is, always it's a positive behind everything. And just stay focused on your gift. That's the thing I tell them. I said sports is the way out. Sports is always going to be your outlet to get to where you need to be and where you need to go. And it's a good thing because a lot of people be watching you. You can make a difference. You can make a change in the community besides being that gang leader or being that dope dealer. It's a way you could do things and where you could be successful.
When talking to Nick's players, it's easy to see how much they take his teaching to heart. His star player, Ayo Dosunmu, and his nephew, Cam Irvin, certainly know what it takes to keep themselves clean.
Because, normally we go in, play, and then we leave right away. So, just not hanging around, just knowing, your surroundings, just being cautious and everything. And I think that's how you could prevent that from happening.
Okay. Cool. Like my boy said, no problem at all. I mean, at your games, go straight home. Just be prepared for the next one. Okay. And then, like, when you out there, like you said, just be focused on your surroundings and stuff. Hang out with the right crowd.
Yeah, it's like he said, it's a blessing because, like, it's a difference between, like, actually having a trust, like, and then really having it. Like, when I come here, like, I know I'm good. Cause like, you got like Nick, Mr. Coach Nick, Mr. Berger, our dean, Coach Lance, and then we just got a whole lot of people who want the best for us. So, you know, like, if you're hungry, you know that you'll be good. Just keep your grades up, be respectful to the adults, and then you'll be good.
Managing kids on a daily basis can be tough, but it can also be the reason that many come back to their hometown to coach.
I'm from the project. There's a lot of obstacles out there in Algill Gardens. A lot of my friends is out there selling dope, shooting at people. And my coach, Bob Walters, he didn't allow us. He gave us a curfew when our parents didn't give us a curfew.
Janelle Evans has been a fixture in the Chicago community his entire life. He's a product of the Chicago Public League and has over 3 decades of coaching experience.
But he'd come by the house all the time of the night, making sure that we are in the house. He lived in Park Forest. He didn't have no kids. He lived in Park Forest. So he'd get up and come on out here and make sure these project kids that he loved is not on the street. That could have been a statistic. There's a couple of us could have been a statistic. But he saved us. He helped us stay away from that. He said, see the future. See the future. See what's in front of you. And that makes a big difference. Because people out there in the world is waiting on you to slip on that banana. So they can say, hey, I told you you're going to slip sooner or later. You're going to come see me. It's a lot of them out there. You have to be tough enough to say, all right, I slipped, but guess what? I ain't come see you. I'm back up. I'm ready to go. What's up next? You move around, partner, because you ain't good for me. And these are things that Bob Walters have taught us. He put that in our head. You know, my father's at home too, so I had him and my father. I had 2 people that I could nowhere near disappoint.
But not everyone who plays in the Chicago Public League is as lucky as Janelle. Nearly everyone from Chicago knows the story of Benjamin Wilson. Benji, as he was affectionately called, was the star of Neil F. Simeon Vocational High School in the early 80s. And he was looked at as the next great player that would rule the NBA. But tragedy struck as the 17-year-old was unnecessarily shot and killed in November of 1984. Unfortunately, Janelle and Kelsey know all too well what it's like to lose a kid.
The toughest moments just happened to us this past summer when our young man, Corey Butler, got killed. One of our basketball players. That was one of the toughest moments when we had parent night here, and I had to give the seniors their awards and stuff, and he wasn't there. That bothered me. That shook me up. I hate losing a kid, and we all do. We all do. But that was one of my toughest.
The toughest thing that I had to deal with was losing a player on the field. That was the toughest thing I had to deal with. We had a young man, Kwashi Chandler, God rest his soul, who actually passed away on the sideline due to some asthma complications. And I was younger in the coaching profession at that time. I had a few years under my belt, but I wasn't prepared. None of us were ever prepared for anything like that. So trying to hold myself together emotionally was tough, to say the least, because we had kids who, of course, his comrades, his teammates, their bond, of course, is going to be much closer than the coach-player bond. So holding myself together and trying to hold them together at the same time, us as coaches, that was tough, because those are uncharted territories. There's no manual, there's no coaching, techniques that they teach you to deal with anything like that.
Christian Hopkins, assistant football and basketball coach at Morgan Park, played professional football for the New York Giants. He's also a Hyde Park graduate. He knows better than anybody just what it takes to make it out of the Chicago Public League.
If a kid can come and take 4 years of coaching and 4 years of the competitive nature in Chicago public schools, he can be prepared for a lot of things. College, it'll prepare you for a lot of stuff, man, because it's tough. You can't just come and walk in the public league and think you just going. No, because you got a bunch of kids around you that want to perform and eager. A lot of kids that come from poverty, a lot of kids that come from absolutely nothing, who hungry to change their life. So you gonna have to come here and play against a kid that didn't eat last night, and he hungry to change his life. You know what I'm saying? I was that kid years ago, so it's good. I like seeing kids like that that's hungry to change not only theirs but their family lives.
Even the greatest coaches in the Chicago Public League had to deal with one of the greatest issues facing the Chicago public schools today: resources. The Chicago public school system has been in the news several times over the past years. Teachers threatening to strike, administrators threatening to end the school year early, all due to a lack of proper funding. It's no surprise that this has a trickle-down effect to the schools' sports teams. Michael Berger has been the athletic director at Morgan Park High School for 2 years now. He was not shy about how his teams have to fight for resources.
The way like we're a neighborhood school, and the way we have to kind of fight for resources compared to some of the schools that are magnet schools or charter schools, it's a difficult situation. There's just a limited number of resources for neighborhood schools, and it's just kind of a fight for resources. And you're here to educate first, and so the resources have to go to that, which I'm totally for. But then when it's you gotta fund athletic programs too. We pretty much carry everything that CPS offers. I think us and Whitney Young and maybe Lane Tech are the only ones that carry as many sports as we do. And Lane Tech has like 8,000 kids that go to that school, and Whitney Young's a magnet school. So we're a neighborhood school on the south side. We graduate 90% of our kids, and 80% of our kids go to college. So I don't think people realize that in the neighborhood that we teach our kids in, and I don't think people in the city know that either.
Janelle Evans of Carver Military Academy shared the sentiment and talked about his role as a coach of 2 different sports.
They have coaches in the suburbs that's getting paid way more money than us and do less work. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. But we out there continue to stand with the flow of it. You understand what I'm saying? So like with me, I'm going from basketball straight to softball. I'm still into it. I don't be able to take a break. They able to take a break, because as soon as basketball season over, their season's over with. It's not like that in the city. It's not like that in the city. So we have to coach multiple sports.
But resources for the teams stretch even further, especially when it comes to teams having to split facilities.
I want to be at as much as I can. I don't want to show favoritism to programs, and I wish we had more facilities. Like right now it's snowing out in March, and boys basketball needs a gym to practice, boys volleyball needs a gym to practice, baseball needs a gym to practice, girls softball needs a gym to practice. I got a text from the girls soccer coach, hey, can we have a gym to practice today? I'm like, we only got 3 gyms, guys, you know, and nobody wants to practice later in the day or in the morning. So, you know, if just managing the facilities and managing the time, and it's just, there's not enough time in the day or facilities, and, you know.
I mean, see, you didn't even know that. We have one gym with regulation baskets in here. We have, like, girls basketball. We have freshmen. We have a Frost-Up girls team varsity. We have freshman boys team, junior varsity, and varsity. So it's 6 teams, really, that can practice in one gym with regulation baskets. Now we have an upstairs gym where it's okay, but it's not like the main gym. So that's the main thing. And we still find ways to win.
Right. And the resource, just think about us, Morgan Park here. We have all the, in the suburbs, they have water polo and all that. We have that here. All the programs here pretty much are on a high level. They win championships, and that's without resources. Imagine what we would have with resources. They have indoor, you know, facilities where they can practice baseball all year round. We have to go out to an outdoor facility and practice. You know, they have indoor tracks and things in the suburbs. So we have a lot of land here. If this is a beautiful campus when you drive by at night, but to have a state-of-the-art facility built here and then have those things around in the public league, it would make it much more attractive. Then you can have all kinds of things in the evening where young people can go in and be in a safe environment.
Sadly, resources are not only a struggle for the schools and their athletic programs. With many coming from single-parent homes, many students also struggle daily for resources of their own.
Biggest things, yes, you hear about different things that happen in some young men's lives. You know, some guys don't eat at night. You know, that's tough. That's tough to see a young man not eating or trying to motivate him to go to class and he's hungry. You know, so resources, you know, those type of things, that's what makes it kind of tough.
Our kids are special. Our kids don't eat every day. They kids do. You know, ours don't. So sometimes we have to have peanut butter and jelly in our office for them. You know, before practice and different things like that.
Was, you know, I came out of high school in 2003. So 99 to 2003, the mentality was different. I played with guys who was hungry to, you know, granted they're coming from the south side of Chicago, like you said, we don't have many resources. Honestly, when we leave, a lot of us looked forward to going to school because, like myself, sometimes that was the only way I ate.
Because of these circumstances, it's not uncommon for coaches to do everything they can to get parents more involved.
I demand that my parents come to practice. A lot of parents, they try to use sports sometimes as a drop-off service. You know, they don't come and see. I want the parents to come and see what I'm teaching.
And when there's no one at home guiding, telling them, hey, that's a good place to be, that's a good thing to do. And not only that, but not settling for less. See, all of these things have to be reinforced at home. I can come to a kid with the greatest plan ever. If the parents are not behind what I'm saying, if they don't buy in, then my words are only going to mean so much.
I believe if the parents come out and support, the kids will give you 100%. That's the toughest. Once that happens, the sky's the limit. I believe the kids will do anything you ask them to do once they know their parents. Because I was there as a Chicago Public School player, and I begged my father to come to games, but he was always working. And he finally came to a game. I remember like it was yesterday against Cone, Carver Middle against Cone. Championship game at Corliss High School, 7 o'clock. House packed. He came in from out of town. I said, Dad, you don't come to the game? I'm tired, son. Just killed my whole spirit. But guess what? When we got our hands in the huddle, I looked up, he was there. I scored 43 points. That was the happiest day of my life. We need our parents involved.
But with the number of athletes living in single-parent homes, it's not uncommon for the coaches to take on a parental role.
A lot of these people want discipline.
Yes.
They're not receiving it, and that's the problem. They want the discipline, They want somebody to put their arms around them, tell them, you know, hey, I love you, man. You know, don't worry about it. Let's get them the next time. And those are some of the things that you have to do. Sometimes you have to step out of that coaching mode and be that father figure for them. You know, I just recently had to do that, embrace one of my ball players and tell them, look, I cannot let you fail. I'm gonna embrace you. I'm gonna treat you just like you my son, because I want to see you successful. And then when you become successful, you got to come back and give that back to somebody else.
We the kids' parents, you know, outside of school, in school, when we have a lot of kids that's without a parent, both parents at home, some don't have none. So as coaches, we step in immediately once we recognize that. We step in immediately and become their mother, their father, whatever we can do to make their lives a lot better, because that's what it's all about. Because if we can reach them and they can show that they believe in us like they will believe in their parents, that means that we can be able to get what we want academically out of them and on the court.
The lack of resources came to a head when Coach Irvin's Mustangs captured their third state title in a thrilling overtime victory over Fenwick, 69-67. Even though Morgan Park were the champions, there was another opponent they had to overcome: the budget. Due to the school's sports programs exhausting all of their funds and no aid from the Chicago Public Schools, they were unable to purchase their championship rings. AD Michael Berger then went to social media. This garnered a huge response of support, starting with a substantial amount coming from a Fenwick parent, the team they had beaten for the state title. Now we all know word spreads fast when it hits the internet, and the word got to two individuals that would change the fortunes of the team. Chicago comedian Hannibal Buress, who gave a very generous donation, and former Bears tight end Martellus Bennett. Bennett's foundation even offered to pick up the entire cost of the rings.
I just think some of the things we have to overcome, people don't realize what we have to overcome, what our kids have to overcome. It's not fair sometimes, but it's what we have to deal with. So,
despite the difficulty dealing with resources within the Chicago Public League, it's still important for coaches to pass on the message of giving back.
I mean, none of us getting rich in the public league coaching. You know, you're not getting paid a lot of money to coach. So basically, we are really giving back. And I tell the players, I'm not getting much to help y'all. We stay after late. We stay on weekends. Like when kids want to shoot, we sit here and shoot with them all day if they want to. So, you know, we make sure we always tell them you have to be able to give back to others because it's a blessing somebody gave to you.
Some great people that put their hands on us to the point that they made us do the right things. They gave us their heart. They gave us their heart, you know. So Chicago Public School was great. I wouldn't change it for the world. I could have went out to Thornton. They was recruiting me. I could have went out there, but it's nothing like home. You got to feel like you want it. You know, I may like this girl, but this girl may not want me. So I got to go over here where she wants me. Can't want me over here. I had to go with that. It makes a difference. She may not be the prettiest, but she want me.
Like even at the beginning of my career in the NFL, you know, I knew that once I hung it up, I wanted to help direct young men down the path that I went. You know, and being a kid from the South Side of Chicago, actually, he was the first coach I met at Hat Park when I got there. So, you know, I've been knowing Ratcliffe for a long time, you know what I mean? But I seen what he did with us, you know, and that rubbed off on me too, that every opportunity I had to help a kid, you know, groom his talent, you know, help him get better and better at his craft, it was just something that I love to do.
From the outside looking in, there is a perception that these coaches and athletes only care about the sports, but administrators, coaches, students, and parents alike would tell you that's the furthest from the truth.
This form you have to fill out, they send it to everybody who qualifies for the super sectionals, no matter what, if you win or not. So it's kind of like a question-answer thing, like cute stories for if you qualify for state. And I was doing it, and it was like, academically, what who's your best like student, and I'm going through all of our seniors, and every senior on our staff on our team has got above a 3.0 grade point average, and our one of our seniors has above a 4.0 grade point average, and I don't think people realize would know that, you know, like they probably have a perception that every kid is just like here to play basketball and that's it.
He said it's bigger than basketball. It's about life and changing these kids and letting them know that grades are first, athletics is second, and that's what I've been doing from day one. A lot of people, be like, "Oh, no, Nick only cared about basketball." No, I took the job to help kids make it to college.
Yeah, well, definitely. It's a true honor being around this great program we have here. It's like okay, when you leave your family, like you go to school, like you said, like Mr. Berger and all our coaches, like we feel like a family with each other. So they always tell us, first thing first, you gotta keep your grades up high. We're gonna hang up back. We're gonna help you with the rest. And then it's just a blessing being around these great people that we have.
The public school system, then, you know, I was satisfied with it. You know, I didn't figure I had to put my kids in, you know, a private school to get a good education. You know, so the school system like that back then, like I say, I was satisfied with it. You know,
we don't babysit our kids. We teaching our kids all day, trying to make sure that they stay alive, trying to make sure they go to class, different things like that. And Chicago Public School got me ready for the future.
If there was any doubt about these coaches caring about these kids, just listen to the unscripted and unprompted lasting words that came from each of their hearts.
So that's the part I like, even helping the kids like go on to college. That's a joy, because there's a lot of kids that if it wasn't for basketball, they probably couldn't afford to go to college.
So anytime that I coach or a young man comes to my institution, it's my responsibility as the coach to make sure that their grades are in order, that they are very respectful around the school, that they play at a high level on the field. At the same time, I demand that their grades are in order, because in their 4 years, it's my responsibility as the head coach to make sure that they get into a college institution.
You know, success by, you know, winning 2 state championships, city championship, you know, all that's real good, and you know, I enjoy it, because a lot of coaches don't get to this point, never. You know, I count my blessings every day and thank God, but the joy I get mostly about coaching and sending kids to college. You know, all the accolades and all that stuff is good for me, but at the end of the day, it's about sending a kid to college that their mom or dad or family couldn't afford to send them.
It's seeing these kids after they graduate, after they get out of high school, after they get out of college, and they're joining the workforce now. They're joining the family force. You know, they have kids, they're married, and to see these kids successful, and to know that you played a part in it, to know that you in some way helped that kid through that transition, that's the reward. To see productive members of society, productive citizens.
My best accomplishment at 34 years is watching them young men walk across the college. I had a chance to, one of my kids, Deshaun Delaney, special ed kid, never knew he was in the building. Didn't never come from Algill Gardens. Never thought that he would be graduating. Never would have imagined. He has 2 degrees now. 2. And I was right there watching him cross the stage on both of them. That was my joy. That's my $1 million. You understand? That's my $1 million. From a kid that came from nothing, that never had imagined that he would have 2 degrees. I didn't need nothing else. I was the happiest man in the world. That's my joy.